But Framber Valdez, 3-year deal, $115 million with an opt-out at a year 2 with the Detroit Tigers, who may or may not be getting taken to the hoop today by Tarek Skubal, who wants $32 million for 1 year, who is a free agent after next season. So the Orioles don't get Framber. Nolan, we've been asking, where's Framber for 6 weeks? Now heading into week 7. You know where he is? He's getting his physical to get $115 million for 3 years from the Tigers. I will give my opinion here in due time. I'm just going to let you know I'm not running hot. I'm disappointed because, as I've said 1,000 times, it's not my money. Spend it. My beer still costs $18. I mean, it doesn't change my game day experience other than having a guy that's pitched in the playoffs and has been really good for many years. Disappointed, but Nolan, what is your mindset here at 10:03? Well, total request Thursday.
Something doesn't add up. That's my takeaway. This entire free agency process, all we've heard the entire time is that the Orioles were right there, the top team that's in on Framber Valdez.
Bob Nightingale said yesterday, heavy favorites to sign.
So that was from day one all the way up until right before he signed yesterday. And in that time, there were a lot of teams that dropped in and out. The Mets were in there at one point. They trade for Peralta. They signed Bo Bichette, so they're out. Teams come and go. Even the Pirates threw their name in the ring at the last second, whether you want to believe that or not. But I don't know what to believe because I was told that the Orioles were heavily in on him and that the reason for the delay was length of contract. And I'm starting to think that I was going to have to prepare to come in here, do some mental gymnastics at some point in the next month, and try to talk myself into why it's okay the Orioles weren't willing to go 6 or 7 years for Framber Valdez, like a Dylan Cease contract, and that they were hung up on 4 or 5. They weren't willing to go the extra years, and that's why we lost him. No, he only wanted 3. 3 with the opt-out after 2 for $115. $38 million a year. It's a hefty price, but what do we care? Bob just got done saying it's not our money.
Not our money.
Quite frankly, for 3 years, I'd go $40 million.
There's going to be a lockout next year, too.
I go $42 million. I go more than what Zach Wheeler's got. I go up to $45 million. It doesn't matter, which leads me to believe, or leads me to question here, how deep in were you? What was your offer, right? I mean, were you only offering 1 year, 2 years? All right, you were offering 3, but what was the overall value, right? My whole gripe here is if your sticking point is money, that just shouldn't be a thing. There's no salary cap. There's no punishment here. Let's say you're in for 35, but you don't want to go to 38. What the hell? That an extra $3 million over 3 years, an extra $9 million. That's a replacement player. That's if you're in that deep, why not go that extra step? And I at this point, I don't know where they go. I'm running hot.
Yeah, I know.
The options are not plentiful left on the market. They have to do something. But right now, we're staring at a situation where they could have a lower payroll in 26 than they did in 25.
And that's unacceptable, and we'll get into that as well. But all the tradable commodities are off the board, too. The Mackenzie Gores, the Cabrera, and Florida. I mean, they're all gone. And this is an Orioles team that just haggled with Kyle Bradish over basically $700,000. And he won, by the way, in arbitration. No, I get that. It's like, well, dude, you pitch like, 40 innings in the last 2 years. We're kind of suspect in your reliability or availability, even though we saw him at the end of the year and he was dealing like a top-of-the-rotation guy. Now, personally, I was all about Ranger Suarez, who wound up signing with Boston. Dylan Cease, who wound up signing in Toronto. Now, if you're picking up what I'm putting down here, Ranger Suarez signs at Boston. Dylan Cease signs at Toronto. Framber Valdez going to Detroit. The assumption is Skubal's gone after the year anyway. He would replace him as the de facto number 1 starter. But now you're running out of options. And if you were going to be aggressive in putting your chips in, and they got Shane Baz, and we had, Keith Law last week, said Shane Baz, who was a first-round draft pick, had Tommy John surgery. He's got number 1 stuff as a starting pitcher. And as a matter of fact, his last appearance at 25, he threw 5 no-hit innings at the Orioles, at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. But losing Valdez, Suarez, Cease, et al., no trade pieces out there. I mean, who's available via trade at this late stage of the game? And Zach Gallen was a guy who's trending in the wrong direction. Is Zach Gallen a guy you sign him for whatever number? And we can get into what are you going to do, where are you going to reallocate whatever monies you were offering Valdez into this year's team. Zach Gallen, is he better than Kyle Bradish?
No.
Inch for
not
inch,
right
pound
now.
for pound? No. Now, I'm still skeptical on Trevor Rogers duplicating what he did in 2025, and I think rightfully so. But Eflin, if he's healthy, there's a proven quality guy. But Zach Gallen's not your top of the rotation guy. He's more like a 3 at this stage. He did help pitch the Diamondbacks in the World Series a couple years ago. And then Verlander, he's old. By the way, his numbers in the second half of the season were better than Framber Valdez's. I just want to throw that out. But he is 43 years old. Lucas Giolito got plus stuff. How many times he been on the IL? He's like the Muscles O'Neal of pitchers on the IL. He's already had his Tommy John. So losing Framber, Suarez, etc., you needed a top-of-the-rotation guy, Nolan, and they ain't get one, at least for now. And at whatever's left, does anyone even come close to Ranger Suarez or Framber Valdez? I don't think. Hey, look, Verlander at his peak, he's the best pitcher in baseball, but he's not. Scherzer's still looking for work. Yeah, we're trying to win the 2012 American League East? No. But losing Valdez is a blow. And it wasn't length of contract, as we've discussed with everyone that covers it. It was about the dough, $38 million. It's a hefty price tag. He did purposely cross up his catcher last year, which caused problems. You can shake your head all you want. It's fact.
What happened?
Caused problems in the Houston clubhouse because he got pissed off because of the changes, whatever. But, man, he would have plugged and played. He's pitched in big games. And he gone. And he's got a relationship with Elias going back to Houston. So, Nolan, go ahead and vent.
I chuckle and I shake my head there because I think I'm seeing, I'm not blaming you for this, but I see this reaction
don't blame
from
me, man. I don't work for the team, bro.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I see this reaction from fans a lot. You miss out on the player that everyone wanted, and now it's instantly, well, Kyle Bradish is better than him and Ranger Suarez anyway. Give me a break, guys. It's not about that. Maybe he is better. Good, great. That's perfect. That's wonderful for the Orioles. This isn't about who's better. This is about filling out the best possible rotation. Valdez isn't better than Skubal. You think anybody there in Detroit cares right now?
I'm saying Gallen versus Bradish.
Sure.
That's what I was saying.
So everyone's going to say, well, we got our ace. We didn't need to spend all the big money because we got our ace anyway. It's not about that. And you better hope that Kyle Bradish is as advertised, is as good as he was pre-injury, and then some. I believe in Kyle Bradish. I love him. Maybe my favorite player on the team. But he has to be elite. He has to be an ace. There is no, well, if they miss a little time, we ramp him up. No, he has to be that guy. If you're not going to get that guy in a Valdez, a Suarez, a Cease, he has to be it. There's no excuse, right? I still expect them to make one more move, but it's going to be a middle-of-the-rotation type of guy.
Well, let's put it this way. We're 6 days away from pitchers and catchers, so they got to get on the horse and do what they have to do. And let me stress this, too, Nolan, as you're running really hot. I'm not saying losing Valdez is a good thing. Let me stress that. Mm-hmm. I would have preferred Ranger Suarez, but I was all in on signing Framber Valdez. So don't get me wrong. Don't get this twisted. Again, it's not my money. Spend it as you see fit to improve the team. But is it an earth-shaking turn of events for the Orioles? I don't know. We still have, March 26th is opening day.
Well, I mean, one could argue it's too late.
You're running out of guys, though.
You're running out of options. You're running out of time, as you said, with the pitchers and catchers reporting here. I mean, we're just a couple weeks away from any signing arguably not being ready to ramp up by opening day, which is completely counterproductive. The only good thing about a Gallen, a Verlander, or a Giolito, who I might put at the head of the line right now, is that I hope that those guys would be willing to sign for 1 year. You know, we're this deep into free agency. Your market doesn't seem to be that hot. In the case of Giolito, it's injury-related. In the case of a Gallen, declining numbers in the last year, maybe you get them on a prove-it deal. You know, you don't have to make that long-term investment. but even that's like a consolation prize at this point. To be in a situation where even after signing Pete Alonso to the biggest contract in Orioles history, you could still have a lower payroll than you did a year ago. I can't even wrap my mind around that.
I hear what you're saying. And let's not forget, too, Rogers, Eflin, free agents after the season. You get Giolito in a prove-it year, free agent after the season. So you're not building a long-term starting rotation. You're going all in this year. Ward's a free agent after the season, the new left fielder. So, yeah, it's an interesting dilemma where you sign Pete Alonso to the highest contract in Orioles history, a guy that fills a major need for them at first base. You bring in Helsley to stabilize the back end of your bullpen. By the way, they still have to go through arbitration with Keegan Aiken. So who knows what dimes and nickels they're fighting over with him. But losing Valdez or not getting anybody that they've been air quotes linked to, I think that's cause for concern. And I think if you want to run hot, I think it's an appropriate thing to do.
The thing that I see is all right, like they finished second, kind of like Corbin. Well, we offered Corbin Burns a lot, but he didn't want to come here.
Made him the highest paid pitcher in baseball.
Right. We finished second. Same way, supposedly, here, finished second. And I was fortunate, to be around two owners that free agency, you identify an attack. You go get who you want, and I'll pay for it. And that's 2 years in a row now, Bob. I mean, from the get-go, from last fall till need a starting pitcher, need a pitcher, need a pitcher, need a pitcher, all through the offseason, need a pitcher, and now still need a pitcher, had the opportunity to get a pitcher, we're not going to go over that amount.
Well, we don't know. So let's be fair with that. Right. We have no idea what the negotiating process was. And with Corbin Burns, let's revisit that. He wanted to pitch literally 10 minutes from his house. So let's not blame the Orioles on that one. They were willing to make him the highest paid pitcher in Major League Baseball. And then he blew out his elbow, which is an unfortunate, horrible turn of events. But yeah, they've come up empty. And even trading, the boss trades, I think, is not a bad deal. But they came up empty in their search for the top of the rotation guy. And that's where we sit right now.
And reputation of because the owner, he just said money's not a problem. Okay, if money's not a problem, like Nolan, pay him 42, pay him whatever it takes to get what you need.
All right.
Because you got a great team coming up.
We hope. They better score a ton of runs, that's for sure.